This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present a collection of fandoms and exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content, and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Blood Like Magic, with mentions of Veronica Speedwell and Heavenly Tyrant. For full list, please see show notes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to ACOFAE, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury,
which is book one of the confirmed duology. And we're so excited for this because, one, after we were reading, we read this through audio, and there was a specific word, and Laura and I were talking about this before we started recording, where the narrator said the word Davis, and all of a sudden we were triggered. We were like, Brie Matthews, what are you doing here? So having a familiar voice, it was so great. And because it's a confirmed duology, we are going to kind of loosely, I say loosely, there's going to be some loose spoilers, of course, but we're going to talk about themes of this book because it's just so important to read diverse all year round. So with that being said, we'll also be following up with the confirmed duology later in the year, and we'll also be going into more detail. We'll also include details from book one because we're going to have that. If you're joining us for the second part of the duology, you're going to have all the details by then. But we want to really encourage just having this conversation and getting everybody excited about it the way we were, because Laura, you had shared that, of course, in your typical fashion, you read this at least 2 times, and you had a more enjoyable experience the second time around. Of course, you knew where everything was going, so you're like, okay, now I don't have to think.
And also I could skip 2 specific parts, and that was important. Why, Laura Marie? Why are you skipping parts in this wonderful, fantastic Canadian book? Because I'm a big giant pussy. That's why. I'm a big giant pussy who can't handle some things. And so one of the things that I cannot handle, and this has been true for years, and it has been detrimental in my career and working with children, but I have a hard time with mucus and bodily fluids. Like I just
fair. Especially like if it's like people who aren't yours.
Yeah, because I'm working with like other people's. It's gross. I just don't do well with all of that. So that being said, when the book kind of opens with a description of a bloodbath, and that bloodbath being removed in a very specific way, it was gross. It was gross. I am a big, giant pussy when it comes to stuff like that. I cannot. So when I read it the second time, I was just like, whoop, whoop, skip 30 seconds, whoop, whoop, skip 30 seconds.
Are we done yet? Because talk about the hallucinations we would encounter where you would choose. So again, loose, vague details, but then she would be like, oh, it was just cherries, not my hallucination.
Oh,
because
my God. Oh, no, don't even. No, gross.
Sorry.
Gross. Oh, my God. I can't. Like, stuff like that is really difficult for me. That I know that I have talked about, I have a hard time with like surgical shows and like medical shows and stuff like that.
Slicing of the palms.
And they very specifically discuss that in this book. And they talk about, fingertip. We'll get there. Really lovely stuff that addresses it. But like those kind of details, I was just like, yucky. And that is solely on me. I am also reading Dungeon Crawler Carl. Editor Sam and I are on, we just finished book 2. too. Anyway, if you've read that book, then you know the description of pustule. And I was just like, ew, stop. Ew, it's gross. And I was like gagging in the car. It's nasty. So it's just me.
But you're also coming from like Victoria's Speedwell and these Victorian eras, and that's not discussed. So it's, you know how when you're deep into fantasy, it's the slicing of the palm and you're like, ugh, I hate it, but like, okay, let me move on. But you kind of get acclimated to it. It doesn't make it any better, but you can also kind of expect it. You've had 2 different books series that you've been exploring. You haven't been exposed to some blood magic in some time.
It's just like, it's not even that so much. It's like, specifically in this book, Blood Like Magic, our main character, Voya, is taking a bloodbath to celebrate her period at 16. She's a witch. She has, as a female witch, she has a excess of bodily fluids, and that is expelled into the tub, and you bathe in it. And I just... and then her mother is like, you're in the blood too long. And her mother makes it cold and like congealed and removes it. And there's like a discussion of clots, and it's just very yucky. And that was difficult for me. So again, I skipped it. I also skipped a part where Voya I knew she was going to make a bad decision, and she made the bad decision, and I can't handle it. It's like watching Meet the Fockers. Like I just can't. Like, stop. Or like watching BoJack. Like, stop. But we're
it got worse. It got worse.
It's getting worser. It's getting worser. Give me the cream. So, Jess, we're talking about these people. Who are these people? Who is Voya? Like, where in Canada are we? Set the scene for us.
So we are in, and it'll make sense if you read it or if you have read it, that we are in quote unquote present day Toronto, and it's present day, which is a utopian / dystopian. Not dystopian in the traditional sense, but in a way that it's Toronto now. There are studies happening, one that Voya, our FMC, participates in for genetic testing, genetic matching specifically, of finding kind of like your ideal pair, your ideal match. There are microchips in our characters that help identify people, who they are, how they who they are, their genetic makeup, how they pay for transactions. But it's also a very accepting world in which we live. And this is where I feel like it's also both utopian and dystopian, because how wonderful would it be if we had a Toronto and a world that was accepting, not just as the cities are, but the families. We have a really huge supportive family. But Voya is our FMC. She's 16. She is a witch, or witch adjacent at the beginning of this book, because she comes from a witch bloodline, and so is her family. However, you don't necessarily come into your powers. You need, every woman in the family has to go through their period, which will then trigger the calling. And the calling is a task that their ancestors bestow onto that individual. Now, women are not just the recipients of these powers. Men will go through their callings as well, except how do they explain it? It's not, you're not dispelling blood as you would a period. It's from all of the orifices. And that was an image I had while driving through Orlando. I'll tell you that much. I was like, oh, I saw on I-4 for real. But every person goes through this calling, and they also have to choose if they are going to accept or denounce the task that's presented. And you don't necessarily know what that task is going to be.
Voya is a difficult character for me. Jessica and I have talked about it before recording. Voya is difficult for me. She's 16. So it is very, very, very important that you put yourself in the mindset of a 16-year-old and not not read this as a jaded adult being like, oh, just do it. Because that's what I did the first time. Again, not enjoyable, little jaded little bitch that I was. Second time, much more enjoyable, in the mindset of a 16-year-old with this family, this huge extended family. And Jessica Marie, we were talking about themes. This family is, I think, something that is the main theme of the book. And again, like there's also like a murder mystery in the background with Lauren that kind of like haunts the narrative a bit. And we never meet her. We never see her. She's only like talked about, like, you know, like really haunting the narrative until that's wrapped up at the end. But the pressure and expectation that comes with this family is just its own kind of organism that we can kind of pull apart a little bit. But also, Jessica Marie, and I know you and I have feelings about this, is this discussion of community that happens within this book, and how everybody says our community is this thing, but our community in reality is broken and it's this thing. And you know, why don't we help? And this obsession with purity, and like we can't mix, and all of these like politics, and we're getting weaker, and like that part of the book too. There's all these like, the book is very busy, and there's all these other like kind of plot lines going on, with the through line being Voya and her kind of obligations and pressure of her family, because everything else is kind of shaped by that. And the plot comes from that. And I think the pressure of all of that on a 16-year-old is, I mean, spoiler alert, never alleviated, because she ends up, I mean, this is the end of the book, she ends up being the matriarch of the whole family at 16. Like, is that better? I'm not sure. So it's all really something to like really think about. But I want to kick this off by saying that even during my second read, where I understood Voya so much more, and I was really understanding the mindset of a 16-year-old and putting myself there, she was hard for me personally, to relate to and like as a character. And if you read the book and you know me, you'll know why. And it is because Voya struggles with making a choice. And everybody knows it. Her family knows it. Like, when she has to make a choice, she agonizes and it takes forever, and she like doesn't do it. She puts it off. It's like this whole thing. People tease her about it. It's thing. And they give her so much grace, and that it's kind of like a family joke, but people do get exasperated by her inability, and they do kind of like, all right, just like hurry up, just do it already. Like, we know you struggle. We understand, but like get over it and just do it. The grace that family gives Voya is this gift that she does not realize that she has. I don't think, even at the end of the book, I don't think she realizes that she has all of this grace. And that is from my perspective, my old ass jaded perspective as an eldest daughter, an only child, only grandchild, only niece. Like, the luxury of not making a decision is not something that I've ever experienced. I have to make decisions. I have to make them quickly. They have to be firm. Also, in my occupation, I have to make 1,000 decisions, and I have to make them very quickly. And I have to be thinking not only about that decision, but how that decision is going to play out like 3 steps ahead at all times during that day. So and she's 16. She's cool. She's looking at internships and stuff. Like, she's not like a child. She's like a mature 16-year-old in this book. It was just a lot. And I am just an old, selfish, whiny bitch who was just like, just do it. Just do it. If you all you want to do is help your family, you have to do this one thing to help your family. You've been given all of these outs and you're not doing it. What do you need a sign from the gods? Like, you already got one from your ancestors. Like, Jesus Christ. There, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, because I know when it's an interesting conversation because we are reading it from an older perspective, and you do have to kind of say, like, okay, well, if I was 16, would I be feeling this? And sometimes even as adults, especially me with like high functioning anxiety, you're thinking of all of those decisions, but ultimately one is made. And I remember, and again, following the pattern in the first 5 chapters, at first, there's this conversation between Voya and her mother is like, and I know how you get with you being overwhelmed with choices. And at first I was like, oh, that's going to be an issue. But I was thinking of it in the way of they're honing in on that. They're honing in on the mother's relationship. There's going to be tension there because I don't like how the mother came off with that. All to find out that this is like, it's wider than that. It's not just between Voya and her mother. And to what you said, her family gives her grace, and there is a privilege that comes with that. Because, there is. It's so wonderful if your family has given you grace. It's so wonderful if you also have choice. But they also hold her accountable in these situations too, because we get to points in the book where they were like, we love you. Here are your choices. We'll even bring the choices down to you, make you have a smaller selection. So you're not looking at a Cheesecake Factory menu. You're going to look at the specials kind of thing. And even with that, they're holding her accountable to be like, but I got shit to do. We've already narrowed it down. You have all of the facts. You have to be in a place. We also can't do everything for you. And those are the life lessons that we, of course, we're older. We understand it now. That, if you are fortunate enough to be raised in a healthy household, you are given the tools to make these decisions. And sometimes you learn how to make the tools, even, make the decisions without the tools. You're just learning along the way. But all of it to say is it did get annoying because you're like, what did I tell you? You're like, oh, my steak is too juicy and my lobster's too buttery. Imagine that they are heavy choices, but you've also been given, it got to the point where, and I don't know, I think we can say basically what her 2 options were. With that doesn't really spoil anything. She had one option, which was, well, first she has to answer the calling. She answers the calling. And her lack of being able to accept the calling from her ancestor, her debilitating choice, she fails it. She fails her calling. She fails answering. She's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. It debilitated her. And then they said, okay, you failed. You're not getting a chance.
I also think it's really important too. And the word that I was looking for earlier was debilitating, because Jess, you're talking about this choice that she was given during her calling. The calling by Mama Juba turned out to be a completely different calling than any other before. And the choice that was given, that Jess will tell us, has the condition that if she fails this, it's not only going to be her that's not going to lose magic. It's fucking everybody.
And that has never happened in any situation, in any calling. It's always been you as an individual. You will suffer. You will not have magic. You might leave your family. You might be ousted, or you isolate yourself because you don't want to be around it. But it's very individual. And what they were giving, what one of the options were for Voya was, but if you fuck up, then you lose everything. And the thing with everything that's connected with her family and their magic is it's how they sustain their life at this point in Toronto. It's how it's their income. It's what they sell. It's, somebody has is really good at reading minds. You have another person who has like magic hands, so they lean into being a masseur. You have another one who like they make healing remedies and then they sell those. So it is essentially, yes, they lose their magic, but it's all on a 16-year-old who is responsible for her entire bloodline's livelihood.
Yeah, debilitating pressure. Also though, knowing that and not immediately saying yes, wild shit. Because Voya is hit with this and she goes, oh, I need to talk to my family first. I can't make this decision. Like, what? That's not one of your options, babe.
What? Yeah, well, you already answered. You were like, it's the family. Why would you take you're so freaked out about choice. You not acting on that is taking away their choice of having magic. But also I feel like if I didn't think this through and I didn't overthink of it, I would have been like, well, then I'm not going to do the calling. I will isolate myself. I will not have magic. I will forego my magic for other people. Yeah, I feel like I would have been like, that would have been my answer at 16.
At 16, I would have panicked and said, just what? Just tell me. What do I got to do? Done deal.
I would have been a martyr but I mean, I raised my family, so I've always isolated myself. So, but that's a great thing. You already know, like, well, tell me what do I have to do? And I would have, I was figuring you were going to do that.
Yeah, just tell me. Yeah, and the task is you need to destroy your first love. And I've been getting into a discussion recently with close family members about this thing called like distinction without difference, where
I want to have this conversation with you now. I'm intrigued.
It's where people correct you. It's like, hey, it's cold out. You should wear some gloves. Oh, I have mittens. That's okay. That.
Oh, we did just have this conversation.
It's a distinction without difference. Like, okay, you have mitten. That's not, you understand what I'm saying. It's the same fucking thing. Yeah. You don't need to get the last word. It's little things like that. And this is like kind of applicable here because it's like destroy your first love. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, well, on the surface, that's very obvious.
Well, but this is because I was thinking this too, because at 16, this is what you would think.
Yes.
Where her mind was going. And to destroy, I'm like, well, now I gotta fucking kill my first love.
Yeah.
And but here's my issue as the adults we are. You had an entire family around you who were on the same page with you?
Yeah. And we're like, yes, you should absolutely murder. Yeah, murder. Nobody was
murder your person. Like, you could have, it was so vague where you can be like, well, what was your first love? It could have been painting. Well, now you have to destroy your favorite piece of art. If you wanted to take destroy literal, but again, this is my growth. And I feel like a lot of readers' journeys growth when we first started exploring fantasy, I used to be like, the prince has to save the princess. The boy has to save the guy. And then later into the fantasy journey, you're like, wait, why does she need a man? She could save her own damn self. And it's the same. That's where I was like, oh, growth, where you're not thinking of romantic love. You could think of it's interpretive. So, but again, she had an entire family.
Yeah, and especially because she had never been in love before. Like, so it was like, what do you mean? I need to fall in love and then kill him? Like, that is like an impossible task. Like,
wild shit.
But again, it's just like, I want to go back to the family. And that's why on a reread, yes, this fits the pattern. It's all there within the first 5 chapters. It's very clear. But also the fact that, spoilers, I guess, the fact that her first love is a member of her family. I'll keep it vague. There you go. Is a member of her family. And that family member essentially begs for freedom from the family. The entire book is, I think, someone's horror story origins and villain origin story. Honestly, she's better than me. I'll tell you that. So I'll tell you
all
that.
of these characters we've been reading lately, we're like, how? Burn it to the ground. Burn it to the ground. I was talking to my sister the other day, and she was like, I hope it goes well for them. I go, I don't. I hope they get exactly what's coming to them. Actually, I hope what happens to them are the same actions that they invoked on other people. She's like, oh, that's right. I forgot who I was with. I don't have to be nice. I was like, please, thank you. Like, that's exactly, I go, you know what? You can be the better person if that's truly what you think. I won't. I don't have to be. I'll be evil for both of us, because burn it all to the ground. Don't fuck with my family like that.
Yeah. It's everything with the family. I mean, are they a toxic family? No. Are they enmeshed and codependent? Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Because even when you have conversations between Voya and her cousin, she goes, there's even like the dynamic of like, well, you want to move out? Why? Well, I don't. I got everything cooked, clean. I have a place to, but there's a codependency. But again, this goes back to the allowance and grace that her family and the family dynamics that they have, that she doesn't feel like she has to leave either. Granted, they're all very codependent. Yes, they financially are dependent on each other as well. But to have a relationship where she doesn't feel like she needs to, some relationships are stronger when you're not under the same roof. That's all I'll say. And that Voya doesn't see that as an issue, but that she's like, no, it's fine. I don't need my independence like that. Other people are like, good for you, I guess.
Jessica Marie, talk to me about Voya's dad.
The piece of shit husband and father that he is. So she has a dad. Her dad left. Her dad, and here's, I feel bad for Voya. And I understand where some of the thought processes come from, because he leaves her and her mother, and then he comes back with a new wife, a new kid. And that's not to say that people can't break up and everything, but as a kid, when you're going through that, there are going to be those questions like, oh, you left, you were good enough, they were good enough for you to stay around for them, but not for me. Again, 16, she has these things. But the fact that he comes kind of in and out of their life all the time, even after this, they live on, talk about codependent relationships. I don't think he's codependent. I think he mooches off of Voya's family. He's under the family because it's Voya's mother who is the matriarch of the entire family. And because she is the matriarch, she has stronger magical ties, and he tries to stay on her good graces because he knows his power is going to be connected to her ultimately. But he comes in, he comes out, and then he always thinks that the world basically revolves around him and doesn't understand, like, oh, everybody's going to be fine with him all the time. Doesn't understand that Voya doesn't want a relationship, or like she struggles with it really because he wants to come in and act like everything is one way. And she's very much things have changed. I have changed as a person, and you can't act like this. But there's a natural struggle because she also has her little sister that her dad had with her stepmother, and she likes her. She loves her little sister, and she actually likes her stepmom. Like, she has a good relationship, and she also is like at this point where she's very logical, and she's like, she's bringing up some good points. I understand her. I'm a little bit more empathetic to her now. But of course, leave it to men to fuck everything up and just kind of like muddy everything.
Leave it to men, and we'll talk about it. But you bring up Eden. Eden is important. She is a 6-year-old child, and she was born under circumstances that made Voya's dad rush back to the family and beg Voya's grandmother to help with the birth. The uncle that was supposed to be there to help with the birth, who has good medical stuff, is addicted to drugs, and he wasn't there. So Voya's grandmother tied the dad, the new wife, and Eden like to the house, changed their status, made them like Thomases, like did all of this stuff. So the thing that is hanging over Voya's head during her acceptance, because she does eventually accept her calling and says like, yes, I will destroy my first love. And then the rest of the book is her meeting, falling in love, love, 16, falling in love. And then family.
And redefining
yeah.
love in how her ancestors had portrayed it to her. Because she realized there was like, loophole.
Yeah.
We get there.
We get there, and it's fun. It's interesting, but it's this threat of this little girl's life hanging over Voya throughout the rest of the book from here on out. Because Priya pulls her aside and is like, "Hey, you should know all this stuff. You should know all of this stuff." And from here on, let's talk about villainous men. Justin. We need to talk about Justin. We need to talk about genetics, and we need to talk about the futuristic kind of sci-fi aspect of this book. Because there's a lot. Like, our characters have like visual displays that blink into their eyes. They read messages in their eyes. Everything is like called the feed, which was
hard. The blinking of the messages, it took me like a minute. I think it took me like a minute to like grasp it, because it was very Black Mirror. Mm-hmm. Have you seen those like tech? Because it's like those quote unquote futuristic episodes are very much in the now.
Yeah, very much in the now. So that and we're also in Toronto. So our characters are Canadian, and they say, we apologize for everything. But to my point being, it's a very international city. They go to a lot of international markets. Their world, like Toronto's a very like worldly, like big city. So it is, I think, intentional, very much on purpose, that the community aspect like is small. So Voya says like, we used to be bigger. We used to interact with more families, but now we're very small. We all fit in a backyard. It didn't used to be like this. We used to support each other. And then I talked about the murder mystery in the background of our missing friend, where there is a divide among witches between pure and unpure. Unpure kill people and torture people for power, and pure don't. Unpure is more powerful, but they have like a stigma and stench on them, and pure, is pure. And our family, Voya's family, switched from impure to pure, and they are clinging to that status. And because of that status, they are choosing to not help certain families, specifically our missing friend. They're choosing not to help her because of this stigma.
Yeah, because there are interactions where it's very nose in the air about how the interaction is, and there's even dialogue where they go, it's like, we say pure. It's like very like, oh, you're so goody two shoes now. Like that used to be such an insult growing up. Like, oh, look at you. Meanwhile. But then here we are with Voya's calling. You got to destroy the one you love. They were so ready to be like, well, we used to do it. I guess we're bringing it back.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is throughout the book, especially on a reread is just so beneficial. But especially on a reread, the emphasis on community, the emphasis on family, the emphasis on a very specific person is so clear that when Voya dedicates herself to this path with Luke, who we'll talk about, you're just like, really? That's what you think your first love is? That? this person you're getting to know? Okay, when all you ever say is all you want to do is help your family and better your community, do you think that okay, I get, you're 16 though. You're 16.
But you're 16, yeah.
Yeah, so,
I think it's like, that's one of those things where, again, this isn't on, and I don't want us, like, if it seems like we're harping on this book, this isn't anything against the writer. It's us remembering this is a YA book.
Yes.
This is a YA book, YA themes, YA ages, obviously. So its audience, and of course, YA is for all ages, but we are exploring it with an adult mindset. And that's where we have to give ourselves grace and everything, the story grace, because you're like, okay, put yourself in those shoes of like, well, you know, we've had episodes where we talk about teen life and and like everything is all encompassing and everything is just so big.
Tell me about Justin and Luke and our genetics.
So we're in Toronto. We have we have a, let's say, Luke is kind of a TA of sorts, who is also an international student from Mexico. His host father is Justin Tremblay. And so we have Luke and Justin, and there is a genetic testing / matching going on that you have to apply for. The youngest age you can apply is 16 with parental consent. And you submit like your interest and everything, and then they take your genetics and they say, from a genetic standpoint, we are going to find you your most compatible match. And so this is kind of this theory that Luke had thought up with Justin overseeing everything, and Luke leads the program. And we know that Voya has submitted to be part of this testing. There's also, a payment involved, and she's trying to contribute to her family as well, because at this time she's still going through her calling, and she doesn't have powers, so she doesn't have any way to contribute really. And we find out that Luke and Voya are matched at 92%. They are 92% matched in their genetic testing. And also part of this underlying, like, it's not like a huge plot point, but part of it also came with, there is not a lot of growth for people in Voya's family and just in Toronto in general, unless you have, you're financially privileged. And part of the being financially privileged, you also get, education. You have more access to education. Access to education means access to internships. Those internships set you up for long-term success. So she's also very passionate about her cousin, Case, who is really, really smart. She knows her cousin has all of these opportunities. If she would just apply herself. Again, there's a lot of privilege going on. And so Voya wants to advocate for her cousin. So she is trying, she's like, I can't stand up for myself. I can't make choices for myself, but I can help get access for my cousin who I love and is my best friend in whatever way I can. And that's kind of also how she gets into the genetic testing and submitting herself, because she's like, hey, come with me. Hey, I need moral support. But really, she's just kind of setting it up so her cousin can get access to different networking opportunities in hopes that she can be in these same circles and same wheelhouses to kind of give herself an advantage outside of the family and be her own person. Because Voya also ultimately knows that that's what her cousin wants.
Let me talk about the cousin. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. Just use your power. Oh my God.
Which is like Voya's not like, the cousin is like, again, we talked about earlier in this episode where family members are using their powers. They're using what they have to their advantage. And in Case is very much like, I don't want, and she has mind reading powers and, knowing what somebody's thinking, you could kind of manipulate the situation a little bit. And she has this, and she's like, I don't want to. I want to do it on my own merit, which I get. I understand doing everything on your own merit. But you know what? Even in 2025, I don't know if I want to own on my own merit anymore. You need, like, having somebody have that leg up, not even leg up, just the accessibility. And even Voya, for a lot of her issues, she's right with this one. And she's like, look, you don't think everybody in this room is using their advantage, using their relationship, using their money to get them the, buy the extra building, make the go to the party, do the donation, make the meet with somebody they've never known. They're using their privilege. Why don't you use yours? And she's so real for that. And, Voya eventually does. And she feels guilty about it. Why?
But also she doesn't, this is my problem with Case, is that she actively doesn't train it either. Like, no. you cannot use it, fine, but be at the top of your fucking game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can choose to, like...
I was going to say, what was it? I was thinking of Heavenly Tyrant, where, in Heavenly Tyrant, when she's learning some warriors will favor one. I can't remember what it's called right now, but will favor one, and then she's being trained to be like, no, your auras are basically need to be trained and be at the same level at all times. So you always have access to it, even if one is faltering. That's what Case should have been doing. It's like, even if I don't want to use it, even if I don't have access to it, it's still a skill set. You would are you kidding me? If we had magic powers, we would be like, we would be trying to practice all the time, even if we weren't good at it, just because we want to.
I wouldn't tell anybody, but there'd be signs. You'd know. So we talked about that this book has a murder mystery in it. There's kind of two. There's Voya's friend, and then there's Voya's Aunt Elaine, Mama Elaine, who the adults are... They're so suspicious. They're like the worst actors in the world. They're so suspicious. Every time Voya enters a heritage cooking competition and she is using her family's almanac to use heritage recipes, and she finds a lot from Auntie Elaine, but she has no memory of Auntie Elaine, and Auntie Elaine should have been her cousin's mom, but she has no memory of that. And she asks the adults, and the adults are like, what? No.
And Case even reads into it. And because at one point, Voya is like, what is going on? Everybody's being really secretive. There's something that they're not leading on to. And she goes, I picked up on that too. Because I feel like Voya also knows when Case is in her head. And there were times that she was like, you weren't in my head for that. She goes, no, they're not saying what it is, but they're saying, stop asking. I can see their thoughts being like, why is she asking? Stop asking about this. We're going to act. We got to play dumb about it. And I like that Case shares that insight, because sometimes I do feel like Case is exclusively picking on reading Voya's mind. I was like, don't other people have brains? Leave her alone.
Leave her alone. And that is something that does eventually happen, because the Voya, in classic Voya form, is given an extension on her calling, and she has 1 month to destroy her first love. And during the course of that 1 month, the power of her family starts to wane drastically, so much so that they are unable to perform even the smallest bits of magic without maximum effort. And it causes weird feelings throughout this family, being like, oh, well, if you need magic, to boost your talent, then you're not really talented to, all of this kind of arguing stuff that happens between all of the cousins.
It's like bringing out the worst in everybody. And here you have Voya, who's already started. And again, now I'm saying it out loud. I was like, wait, this was there, where she's already questioning community. She's questioning relationships. She's saying, we want to act like we're this community. We want to act like we're this, oh, we love everybody. This is a tight knit community. We need to lean on each other, but we don't act like it. Our actions aren't matching our words. It's very much like different organized religions. Just because you show up and you pay a tithe every week, you're not acting very, I'll say Christ-like for this example, It's that conversation. You're a lot of talk, but your actions aren't matching it. Don't we get to that place?
Talk not matching. Justin, of course, is a man, and he's evil. And
of course.
And he also works for a tech company, so obviously. And through that, we learn that he and Auntie Elaine had a thing, and Auntie Elaine's magical ability was genetic manipulation. And during that time when Auntie Elaine was alive, there were children being born with something wonky with their genes where they were not receiving a calling and they were not getting access to magic. And they were trying to figure out why. And Justin turned evil, as men do. And he wanted to use gene manipulation to make his dad immortal because his dad died right in front of him. And when that happened, he was like, well, I'll be immortal. Ha ha ha. Gets his wish, creepy Cyberman way. You know, that works out at the end. But that whole section of it was, I thought, very interesting because it is just an exercise in lying to children. All of these adults are just lying and lying and lying. And it would have solved so much if you just come clean in the very beginning. But of course they wouldn't have a story. And like, I understand the whole effect of storytelling, and it makes the reveals that happen from the grandmother at the end of the book, you just like bang, 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 bang at the end. And that was really something too. I really liked the relationship that Voya had with her grandmother. I liked the kind of matriarch that the grandmother was, like no nonsense, you know, kind of like down to business, no bullshit.
She didn't fuck around, and she held, again, I feel like there was a respect there for the grandmother because there were a lot of sacrifices for her, because also it's not just, and obviously Laura shared a spoiler, matriarch of the family isn't aligned with age. And also that if you're the matriarch, that also is signifying you are the most powerful to continue carrying on the magic with. And I think it's just interesting that there is a respect there and a love for her there, that Voya's grandmother didn't fuck around and eventually became truthful.
And Voya's grandmother at the end, when she's confessing everything to Voya and, you know, all the story kind of wraps up, she says, like, I knew you were going to be my choice. And like, I talked to the ancestors knew, everybody knew it was going to be you. And I basically just let your mom and auntie like fight about it for shits and giggles.
Well, which is because that's all it was, because I think this just goes back to what I was saying, where people automatically think like seniority plays a role in like who's going to be the head of the household. And I mean, in Kanto, spoiler, that kind of happens with Maribel and the house, and she takes on the lead of, but it's like, there's a lot of generational trauma and a lot of generational healing. And Voya, you know, as fantasy, sci-fi, YA books go, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yeah, again, debilitating pressure from the family. You know, wrapping this, again, being vague because we want you to read this book. You know, celebrate all of.
Also, like, ask for it in your libraries, because I was on Libby, I was on Hoopla, could not find, and I have multiple. It's not just mine. I have like 6 library cards, and all 6 of my libraries didn't have the ebook. They didn't have the audio. I mean, yes, I'm glad I supported the author. I wound up purchasing it through Audible, but like, there's my question. Why don't you have this? 6 different libraries and Hoopla, and none of them had it?
Why?
That's insane. And I have a library card from New York Public Library. I have like, I have some really high profile library cards, and I'm just like, how? And I know you couldn't find it on your Denver or your local.
Yep. I couldn't find it anywhere. So yeah, celebrate this. You know, really kind of uplift this all year. There's always a good time.
You know how people talk about like being mood readers? This does feel like a mood, like an all year book. Not just because there's magic. You know, some people will be like, oh my gosh, like it's magic. Like, let me do October or something. Or I'm going to, you know, because this is a Black author, I'm only going to read. No, like, it's so good. It's so fun. You had more fun the second time around. I didn't get to a second time around, and I still had fun. And just read it. It's based in Toronto. It's diverse. There's representation throughout the entire book.
All kinds too.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on just a few things before we wrap here. And that is that this book ended in a completely different way than I was expecting. Completely different way than I was expecting. So, spoilers, Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Voya is made matriarch after, Ava, the grandmother is, killed. It's very dramatic. It's a whole big thing. Justin's involved. Luke is there. The family's been kidnapped. It's a whole thing. And then there's like an sort of an epilogue where it's like, yeah, after I just go work in this restaurant. And, you know, she like helps people, Voya helps people with her gift because she ended up getting 2 gifts from Mama Joba. And she's like, we need to make change, all of this stuff. I'm sure that what I'm going to say is something that is addressed in the second book. But the way that this wraps up with the family, when it was like destroy your first love, I was really thinking like, because the emphasis was so much on the house and the family. I was like, oh, she's going to like break this house apart, right? Like she's gonna like blow this house apart and like give the family a little bit of freedom to like explore like who they are outside of this identity of this is what I was thinking, like break, destroy the boundaries that have kept you inside. But what ends up happening is the exact fuck all opposite of that. And we have somebody trapped. I think I'm going to die in this house. I think I'm going to die in this house is the inner monologue of that person that is trapped in that house. And that was just the exact opposite. And I was, as the reader, I was just like, well, okay. But I'm sure that is something that is going to be addressed in book 2. It can't not be.
I would be surprised. Within the first 5 chapters, not addressed, but it would surprise me if we don't pick up immediately where we left off.
And I was also thinking a lot about community and how maybe that would be like a first love to be destroyed, and how as matriarch that would have been something to like break down the boundaries between pure and unpure, because also Voya says that like the magic smells different. It has like a different smell. She's different. It's like this whole different thing. She has 2 gifts. She can like really kind of bring everybody together, and we can kind of blur all these boundaries and kind of rebuild community. And that is, I think, going to be a huge theme of book 2, is rebuilding the community of all of these witches.
You took the word. I was going to be like, she's recreating the community. But, you know, it's like burn it down. You have to burn it down first to build it up. Because trying to build it up, I mean, as we're learning, here in the States, it's not working so well trying to build on top of what's already happening. So here we are. But with that being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're both also on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Feel free to rate us 5 stars on any of your listening platforms. We'd so greatly appreciate it. But we will talk to y'all soon. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.